Looking for a nice way to wrap up the business and markets week. This is where you get it. And this is Business Morning, this Friday, the 27th of September. This is how we wrap up the month, technically, as it were, on Market Street. Next week, Monday, is the final day of the month on the calendar, but today the market is wrapped up, and you wouldn't be surprised when you saw some of the numbers out through the equities market yesterday. Everyone is closing the books, and then we'll say welcome October. So let's welcome our viewers here in Nigeria and around the world to the program. I am Boostin Omofai. Let's look at some top stories. Of course, it's already in the news. The UK Commercial Court says yes to Nigeria's stay of execution of a P&ID's $9.6 billion judgment money, but hands down Nigeria a few weeks leave to place $200 million security payment and to file its appeal against the earlier judgment. The petitioner, P&ID, however, rejects Nigeria's $9.6 billion appeal and says that will not stand until Nigeria pays up within 14 days the sum of $250,000 described by P&ID as running costs. Whatever that means is still out there. The team led by Attorney General of the Federation, Malami, and the rest of them will be trying to untangle all of that. The team is suspected to move to New York over the next few days. They're still trying to plug all the loopholes and prevent Nigeria paying that judgment money. Now that we have a few weeks to put up an appeal and deliver that money, and then we'll be good to challenge that decision formally in court. Meantime, President Buhari still at the United Nations General Assembly hosting a few sideline events, says the country loses about $157.5 billion to illicit financial flows between 2003 and 2012, based on the data from the 2014 Global Financial Integrity Report. According to President Buhari, he says, quote, "We will give all it takes to ensure there is no hiding place for purveyors of corrupt practices who are truly enemies of the people." President Buhari further says that this is the reason why Africans have no choice but to break the back of corruption. He therefore called for a coordinated action among all African countries to fight corruption, as illicit financial flows hurt the growth of their economies and the provision of social infrastructure to the people. And as we all get ready for a bigger financial inclusion space in Nigeria, the Central Bank of Nigeria has warned the newly approved payment service banks, or PSBs, to desist from unwholesome practices. Last week, the Central Bank approved 3 new PSBs. And of course, you have their names. These new PSBs, according to the Central Bank, will have to behave themselves in the banking sector. And that's according to the Central Bank's director in charge of payment system, Ademola Adeleke. He says, while the regulator reckon that competition will be stronger, it is important that we eschew the tendency for demarketing practices. Adeleke says such behavior will weaken the banking industry, and everyone should avoid heightening the risk quotient in the Nigeria's financial services sector. The payment service banks are emerging from telcos. MTN already has a formal license from the financial regulator to do financial services. Others will be fast-moving consumer goods companies, chain stores and postal services, including iPost. All of them, the central bank says, don't go demarketing each other and behave yourselves. Don't heighten the risk in the financial services industry. The banking space is getting deeper with the introduction of fintech into the financial services space in Nigeria. That's some of the stories making the headlines right now. Where are we as far as the market was? Then we got a big jump yesterday. The global equities market made a bit of a comeback yesterday, although the U.S. markets went down a little bit before the closing bell on Wall Street on Thursday, but Nigerian market closed a lot much earlier, just when it was about early morning hours on Wall Street. So we finished off about 1.1% on our composite index stable. And that's what you're looking at right now, trying to claw our way back to 28,000 reading. It looks a little bit very difficult. Each time we try to get out of 27,000 level and grab the 28,000, the markets just seem to puff up a little bit. Then we get back, but we're still holding about our way up there, hoping that the things will go back to that as we get into the new month. And again, we added a few more billions to the total market value. 13.426 trillion naira. But all that on the back of a much slimmer volume, 183.46 million shares for 2.92 billion naira. And of course, the transactions, 2,576. So despite the massive downsides to the turnover for the day, in terms of bargain hunting, that was much stronger, and you can see the result of that staring at you right on your TV screen. The 5 key subsectors of the market that we track for you on a daily basis here on the show is what you're seeing, and the biggest jump came from the oil and gas, 5.70%. If you trace that up, you find consumer goods index 4.85% contributing to the headline figure. Thanks to Nestle, the food giant. Then you find insurance with a strong 3.58%, showing the Nigerian Stock Exchange give a breather to 2 of those insurance companies to release their earnings, and now the trading resumed on them. Niger Insurance was one of them. Then you find industrial goods 0.02%, and that's those that are the 5 subsectors. But let's show you some of the details around the oil and gas stocks there. Seplat, of course, led that big jump in the oil and gas space. Photo oil went down, but if you flip that page over, you'll see Seplat gain a maximum 10%, followed by, that's an E&P company, followed by a major oil trader, Total, Nigeria, also maximum 10%. Trading day permissible jump. Then you find Etana Oil, which is much smaller in terms of market cap to Seplat and Total, up 6.67%. They fetched the market, that sector, about 5.70% on Thursday. But if you look at the unlisted securities market, it was largely quiet. The NESD stock index, the NSI, was flat, 704.15. Just 2 transactions, which were largely crossed, 8 million transactions among 2 houses. So that's just a very lackluster Thursday for the unlisted securities markets. Follow me to the FMDQ Securities Exchange, and there you find the Treasuries market still a little bit quiet on a Thursday with the repayment of mature treasuries. We get a bit of a sense of that later on the show. That's 115.64 billion naira. They're very decent today, if you ask me, but just below our daily average in terms of total value of traded treasuries at the secondary window. The flip side of that is the Naira bond, 21.34 billion naira in 51 transactions. And the most active was a buy deals, is maturing 2026 January 22nd, 12 transactions with Naira value that goes to the paper maturing 26th of April 2049, one of the longest dated papers in our market, just 6 transactions.